So topic is about how did it happen a pure devotee who has a spiritual form and topic is and which we have been hearing, reading last few weeks, especially we have all, and also we have heard from Srila Prabhupada all these years that pure devotee is not of this world. No, he comes from the spiritual world, especially a pure devotee like Srila Prabhupada, Sakshat Hari, and who is coming to as a Shaktivesh avatar. How is it possible that anything of this material world, material elements, what to speak of poison, can even touch, little bit touch his spiritual body. He even says that when demigods come on this planet in this Kali Yuga, they don't even touch their feet on the ground because it is so dirty nowadays. So, how is it that a spiritual body, spiritual form can be affected so horribly like Srila Prabhupada's? So, that's the question. It's a very heavy topic. I don't know if were devotees, all of you were you able to go through the 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 medical symptoms which I had posted in the WhatsApp group? Anyone?
Yes, Prabhu. I also was just going over that whole the Google Drive you sent. It's a very very heavy topic. Definitely.
So how do we understand that? I mean, should I go through the medical symptoms just to get the just to understand where we are with this?
Shortly, you could, if you want.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Let us do that. So Amugiri,
Say again.
I mean Balaram Prabhu, is he there with you?
No, they are in, I don't know, Puri or Jaipur.
Okay. 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 So this is I received from Nityananda Prabhu. He has kindly compiled it, and I don't know who has been contributing in it, but whoever has done, they have done a very good um, service. So thank you very much, Nityananda Prabhu, for sharing me this and many other things. Now, this, I don't know if everyone understood what has been going on, but all these reports are explaining how cadmium has been found in Srila Prabhupada's hair samples almost 250 times the normal, um, what is available in normal human bodies. And so 250 times, basically it would have, for any human person, he would have died long, long, long back. And but there are many symptoms which has come in Srila Prabhupada's body. And there is a nice, I mean, it will be good if later on devotees are able to go through these on their own. But I wanted to look at the table which has been made. So this shows how his eyes were extremely sensitive to light, any kind of light. And there are many descriptions or excerpts from different places in conversations and other places where they found all these, they have nicely picked up all the devotees. They have picked up all these different symptoms. So we are just going to go through these. So his eyes had become very sensitive, so much so that he was wearing glasses. Devotees must have seen him wearing glasses all the time. And this is the table where it shows, because this has been told by different devotees from the Maya ISKCON, that severe diabetes, because he had severe diabetes and kidney diseases, that's why he had all these symptoms. But these devotees, they have done painstaking work over years and years to really put it all together that no, these symptoms are coming from cadmium poisoning. And before poisoning, which started in mid 76, there was no symptoms, and afterwards it became very severe. So we go through this, and then there were conjunctivitis and tearing of the eyes all the time. There was mucus in lungs. There was cough, chronic cough all the time. You can hear Srila Prabhupada's voice is very heavy, with the, and there were a lot of lung irregularities, short breath. I don't know what pleurisy is. I guess it's something like this. Runny, sneezy, stuffy nose, weakness, and enlarged liver had become diseased. Constant scratchy, hoarse, husky voice, excessive salivation, drooling, remorses, urethra inflammation. So one can see his face had become colorless, expressionless, no pallor. One sees Srila Prabhupada's. Normally, his spiritual form is so bright and effulgent, and a lot of um, the lot of what's the word called? I don't know. Suddenly, it went off my mind. But mind over emotional sensitivity. He was very sensitive, emotional. I don't know if that is how much that is applicable, but heart was irregularity. There were so many palpitations, arrhythmia. I don't know what this is, but something similar, I guess. Headaches. Sometimes he had minor headaches, which we have come to know that many of these minor symptoms, like all these, they are part of his ecstasies. We have seen in Nectar of Devotion, many of his, or these weaknesses, all these things were part of his ecstasies. But when the poisoning started, they became like, it didn't seem like ecstasies. These seemed like real bodily, um, like a human being would go through. Of course, extraordinarily human being, something like which no human being could survive all this, but still he was going through many of these similar symptoms. So weight loss, lack of appetite, um, difficulty urinating, discoloration of casts in urine, weakness, anemia, fatigue, exhaustion. And some of these symptoms one can see they are from diabetes and kidney diseases too, but not all of them are there. So that's how they are concluding part of it. Of course, they have tested the hair samples, but they are also concluding from the symptoms that this shows, and they were not just diabetes and kidney diseases, but they were part of the something else. So it goes on: muscular weakness, osteopenia, bone pain. It's very horrible to see and think about it. Let us talk, what do all devotees feel about this? Why don't we have a little discussion about this? Anyone would like to comment?
I mean, it's a very it's hard to read, as it's hard to think about. Um, this is a very nice chart. The his poisoning. Um, I'm sorry, I'm just reading the rest of this. Yeah, it's very hard. It's very hard to read and talk about. I feel like it's a very disturbing that this has happened.
Thank you, yes. Anyone else would like to share anything? Because what we are trying to understand is how could it happen? When Srila Prabhupada, he explained so many places that pure devotees never go through these things. And that's why I wanted to take it up to really, really get to the bottom of it from the eyes of the scriptures. How could it happen? What's the possible explanations from the scriptures?
I mean, first of all, the question is, of course, did this really had an effect, right? So is it so? Uh, of course, it cannot have an effect. So it's a material poisoning, right? So it cannot have an effect on a spiritual body in the same sense that it would have effect on a material body. So then all these displays or all these visible problems then have to be something else, right?
Yeah, exactly. So what are they? I mean, this is what.
And well, and then they were also not the cause of leaving the body, right? The cause was something else.
Exactly. So you really hit upon these two things. One is, what are these symptoms? Because it cannot happen to a pure devotee's body. And what was the cause of I mean, for sure, these were not the cause of his disappearing.
Mm.
Very good, Prabhu. Really good. Thank you. Anyone else?
I just try to think of similar cases from scripture or where we have like such a severe display of yeah symptoms or but yeah, actually nothing comes to my mind. First thing that I was thinking of is this, but there's this story with one of the six Goswamis, and he is like in meditation and actually sees is seeing Krishna in some lila, and something funny happens, so he's laughing. So also externally, he's like laughing. And at the same time, another devotee comes by who had this like bodily deformations, like, and was feeling offended that because he thought like, okay, the Goswami is laughing about, my appearance here. So, which also is like, okay, how can a devotee, I mean, assuming this devotee was like also on the absolute pure platform, which I think probably was the case. But yeah, we would need to check. We can check that again. So where you also would think like, how can it be? You know, you have you're pure devotee and have like such a deformed body, like normally only a person has with a very bad as a result of a very bad karmic reaction or something, right? So how is that possible? So that's the first case that came into my mind now. But similar to, is there any story of a devotee who had like similar symptoms or was really like visibly showed like poisonous symptoms, although person was not poisoned in that sense? So is there any story?
Let us then go into the Shuddha Sattva Prabhu. You wanted to say add something?
No, Prabhu. No, please carry on.
You're going through disease symptoms also, no? Your body. Okay. So what I did, Prabhu, is I've been meditating on this. So what I've been trying to do is put it together a chart where poisoning of pure devotees in the scriptures have been referred to by Srila Prabhupada. I mean, I'm looking through mainly from Srila Prabhupada's Vani. So it all these Prahlad, Mirabai, Bhima, Garuda Pandit, Lakshmi Devi, cowherd boys, Parikshit Maharaj, all of them are, many of them are there, poisoning only.
Yeah, true. Right.
So when pure devotees, then the next chart is about the attempted killing of pure devotees in other ways in the scripture other than poisoning. Arrows, curse, trident, crucifix, caning, all these things. So what we find is when pure devotees have been in mortal danger, Lord Krishna either protected his pure devotees, nothing happened, or let them be affected to enact some pastime, or left a material body to bewildered fools and envious. I mean, this is just a developing hypothesis based on what I've been reading. And I don't know if this is correct. Maybe there are more ways or maybe more understanding, but let us go through them. And then that's why I wanted, if I can have devotees' participation in it and correct or modify, I put it in a very summarized manner. Later on, I tried to quote different, while I was going through different pastimes, but they are not complete yet. Okay, so Bhakta Prahlad in the 7th canto Bhagavatam, I think it is 5th chapter and 6th chapter, but I'm not certain right now. Okay, who father asked mother to feed him. And Srila Prabhupada says that in a lecture. It doesn't say in the Bhagavatam, but says in a lecture that he asked his mother to feed him the poison. I forgot which kind of poison it was, but it is mentioned. Prahlad, he offered whatever was being given to Krishna, and Krishna, I mean, basically nothing happened to his spiritual form. Nothing. Krishna protected. And there is a whole purport where it is described by Srila Prabhupada that, and I'm sure he's quoting different other acharyas in the parampara, where he describes that actually Krishna covered his body. And somehow or the other, when they were trying to attack Prahlad Maharaj, they were actually attacking Krishna's body because he was covering Prahlad Maharaj's body. So of course nothing could happen to Krishna. So that the whole purport is about how demons try to attack and kill Krishna, and they can never do that. So of course he didn't pass away. And we can go all these later, but I'm just doing a summary. Now Mirabai, she was a great devotee of the Lord, pure devotee, and from Mewar. And her husband and in-laws, they poisoned her. And it seems from from Charanamrita. And it actually became nectar, and because she was always singing about the Lord, and it just became nectar, similar to Prahlad Maharaj, and nothing happened to her at all. Then Bhima, Srila Prabhupada describes that he also was, there is a there is a Bhagavatam, Kunti, Maharani Kunti, she is saying that we were fed poisoned, poison. Prabhupada explains that it was a poisoned cake that was fed by Duryodhan to Bhima, becoming envious of him, of his strength. So Bhima, it describes that he became unconscious and looks like he got affected by the poison. But it seems that Krishna somehow arranged that whole pastime so that basically the pastime goes on to say he went to, this is not, I have not heard from Srila Prabhupada, but something like this he explains in a very brief manner. But he he went he instead of drowning, he actually went down the river Yamuna, and their king Vasuki was there. He brought him there and he revived him with the nectar, so he became 10 times more powerful. And he came out, and they were so envious to see him coming out, the Duryodhan and his brothers, and he had become 10 times more powerful by that activity. And then there is a branch of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's tree mentioned in the 9th chapter of Adi Leela. Garuda Pandit described that he was once bitten by a snake, but it didn't act because there was from the Hare Krishna, because he was chanting Hare Krishna mantra, so there was no effect. It's written like that in the by Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami. And nothing happened because he was chanting Hare Krishna. I mean, so all of these you can see how can Srila Prabhupada be affected when Prahlad, by Bhima, Garuda Pandit, these are all examples there. I'll skip Lakshmi Devi for a minute. Cowherd boys and calves. Everyone knows in Krishna book the pastime where the pastime before the Kaliya snake pastime, the 2-3 paragraphs before, in the Dhenukasur pastime, in the end, it describes that Krishna book is describing how they, after the whole pastime was over, then they came to the bank of the Yamuna, and then they were thirsty, so they drank the water, and they all fell down unconscious. And then Krishna revived them by his merciful glance, and then they realized after waking up that actually they had died. But Krishna is so powerful that he just revived them. But we know he did that to enact his Kaliya pastime, which is there in the whole next chapter. So that is another one way of, just like Bhima became unconscious, but he came out more powerful. Similarly, the coward boys and men, they also became unconscious, and they realized they had died, but Krishna revived them, and then he enacted the pastime. Then Parikshit Maharaj, he was cursed to be killed by a snake in 7 days, because if you remember, he had put a dead snake on the sage's neck when he didn't welcome him when he went, while Parikshit Maharaj was out hunting, and he came to the sage's place of hermitage. So, but we understand from the Bhagavatam that this was a pastime to speak, so the Bhagavatam could be spoken, because Lord Krishna had left the material world and he wanted to leave Bhagavatam behind, and is described to expand the glories of Parikshit Maharaj and Shukdev Goswami. and there are few other things are thing. So all this needs to be further researched. But what happened was in the 12th canto, it is described that he was bitten by Takshak snake. He was the king of Naga. Oh, Nagas means snakes. And he came as a Brahmana in a human form. He took that form and he bit the feet. As a human form, he suddenly became a snake and he bit the feet of Parikshit Maharaj. And his body burnt from his poison. It was so powerful. He just burst into flames, which is a spiritual body. And it's a very interesting, just because just before he got burnt like this, Shukdev Goswami told him, when he is going to come and burn you, you will not even feel anything, because you would have attained spiritual consciousness. And so we should read that whole pastime. And this is the practically the only place where a pure devotee actually passed away. But we see this was a pastime, and it was enacted like that for this purpose. And Lord Shiva, he's of course not a pure devotee alone, but he's also one form of Krishna. He's not Vishnu Tattva, but one form of Krishna. So when the churning of ocean happened, then halal, it seems like this the worst kind of poison, most potent poison, the origin of all poison, so to say. And that came out and it was spreading all over the universe. It was really causing a lot of grief to all the demigods and population. So he came out to protect everyone. So they went to Lord Vishnu, demigods all went to Lord Shiva, and they requested him to please drink this poison, because only he could do that. And it described Lord Vishnu went to Lord Shiva, even though he was present at the place of Samudra Manthan, the churning of the ocean in many forms. He was present in the form of the Kurma tortoise on which the mountain was being churned. Then he was present on top of the mountain to hold. Then he was present in the modes of passion and ignorance and goodness, among the demigods, the demons, and Vasuki, the snake. And he also finally he took up the rope himself in another form and he started churning, because nothing was happening. So he was present in many forms there. And he himself as a person also, as Upendra, he was present there too. But he didn't take the poison himself. He went to Lord Shiva. So it was a pastime to expand Lord Shiva's glories by Lord Vishnu. And so he went and drank the poison. And the only effect was this blue line came on Lord Shiva's neck. And that's why he's called Neelakantha. Neelakantha means Neel means blue, Kantha means neck. So blue line came on his neck. And then we have Lakshmi Devi. She was the first consort of Lord Chaitanya. He had two wives, two consorts in his pastime, brief householder pastime till 24 years of age. So when he was 16, I think he got initiated, and around that time he had his first wife. So Lakshmi Devi, she was Lakshmi herself. And many people say that because Chaitanya Charitamrita doesn't say, Chaitanya Charitamrita says she was stuck with the snake of separation when Lord Chaitanya was preaching in East Bengal, which is the Bangladesh now. And he was away preaching, and so she was so much in separation that she was stuck with the snake of separation. But materialists say that she was stuck with snake poison. She was bitten by snake when she went to the river Ganges. So what actually happened is she gave up her material body at the Ganges, and she she expanded into a material body and left it there for people who were materialists for them to become, oh, see, she was a ordinary woman like this, and she was bitten by a snake. But actually, she went in her own same body to the spiritual world, back to Krishna, to relieve her separation, anxiety. This was similar to Lord Krishna passing from Hunter's arrow and Maya Sita, real Sita. We'll cover this little later today. So, of course, she also passed away, but it was a whole pastime. This whole pastime of separating of the material body for this purpose. Otherwise, spiritual body couldn't be affected. I mean, not even she never even could come in touch with the snake. And Chaitanya Charitamrita doesn't even say that she was stuck with the snake, bitten or anything. It was a snake of separation is described. So we come to Srila Prabhupada, and we were just reading that his envious disciples, some envious disciples, they tried to poison him with cadmium, mainly with cadmium, but mixed with arsenic and mercury. We can see various disease symptoms came in the last 18 months. So the question begs, why did Lord Krishna enact this? For which pastime? So we come back to this again. So when pure devotees have been in mortal danger, Lord Krishna either protected his pure devotees, like we saw in the case of Prahlad Maharaj, Mirabai, and Bhima in this kind of a pastime, Garuda Pandit by chanting Hare Krishna. All this green are how Krishna, why Krishna did that. And then cowherd boys and calves to enact Kaliya pastime, Parikshit Maharaj for the Bhagavatam to be spoken, and Lord Shiva to expand his glories. So similarly, for some reason this happened. So what are these? Why did Krishna let it happen?
Can I ask a little question here? So was not Srila Prabhupada also mentioning that even Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, so his spiritual master was also like poisoned?
No.
Is that
But
not true?
let us go through that. I have written this here.
Oh yeah,
So,
okay.
so this is the other chart. But let's go. It's a very good point, Prabhu. Can we go through this poison thing first? If anyone else has any points to make in this.
Prabhu, you mentioned like for which pastime for Prabhupada, right?
Yeah.
Of course, ISKCON is the biggest, huge pastime, no Prabhu. The books, Prabhupada books, the ISKCON movement, his preaching activities.
Why did Srila Prabhupada enact the pastime? Sorry, Krishna enact the pastime that if it is like that, this pastime, that disease came because of cadmium and all that. When we see Prahlad Maharaj, Mirabai, all these, nothing happened. What is the pastime related to?
So the question is, what's the difference between these other devotees and Srila Prabhupada? You know, so what they had different pastimes, right? So Srila Prabhupada, so all these other people, I mean, not all, maybe not really true, but can you scroll up again that we go through this? So they're normally not. So in what sense are they Guru Tattva? They're not really Guru Tattva, right? So they're not in a disciplic succession in that sense. I mean, sure.
Prahlad Maharaj is,
Yeah. But
I mean,
so because my the idea that I got, you know, just the idea, of course, you know, it's like is Prabhupada showing here similar to, I mean, maybe the closest similar example is then, I think in the list below you had like Jesus Christ as well, right, or something.
yeah.
I think. Right. So maybe that's the closest example there as well, right? Because Jesus was also according to the Bible story, betrayed by his disciples, right? Or by some of his disciples, right?
Yeah. Why don't
So
why
it's
don't
a similar story. So maybe to really so that's maybe the pastime, right? So pastime between different disciples with different mentalities and basically to train us as well in that sense. And I remember also that Srila Prabhupada basically also said like, okay, now I show you how to leave the body, now I show you how to die, that so also to show everyone, okay, this is proper way to leave the body, right? And then he was like, everything is Krishna, moving, not moving, right? And then couple breaths later, left the planet. But so yeah, so that seems to be the. So I mean, you could also ask like, okay, what if that was not the pastime, or if that would not have happened, this kind of situation. I mean, of course, it's like speculation, but what other kind of passing away pastime we would like to have seen where we would think like, oh, this actually should have been the pastime, Prabhupada should have just like burst into light at some point, finishing the Srimad Bhagavatam, and after that suddenly disappeared and just it was a lot. What else you want to have as a pastime? So why is that not enough for us? Why is that? Why we struggle with this kind of pastime?
the first thing is that how could his body be affected by cadmium? He could have done all these things what you said without.
Yeah, no. I mean, if you want to show, if you want to basically show, like, okay, um, uh, do you have the disciples have different mentalities, and I want to show a poisonous. So it's basically, poisoning as a metaphor, right? Poisoning the guru as a metaphor for poisoning the teaching, poisoning the movement, poisoning, just our poisoned mentality, right? So, and if you don't have this pastime, then it's just like, as I said, like just a completely different pastime where we would think like, oh yeah, it is like with all the other devotees who are miraculously saved, and then suddenly which underlines their greatness. So why is that not happening to Srila Prabhupada? Why, visibly we see him suffer, because we also suffer then, right? So we, the devotee, we suffer seeing that, right? And actually are more attached than also, it increases our attachment to Srila Prabhupada as well, right? And we want, of course, justice and everything, right? Right. So in that sense, I mean, it's actually a really interesting pastime. And in that sense, these symptoms, yeah, I mean, for us, they seem to be visibly poisonous symptoms that a material body would have. But as you said, like the poison, every other normal human would have died long before, right? So it's basically impossible to show all these symptoms. It's just shows actually it's even more, it's more tragic in that sense. Just imagine it's like, okay, then he drank a cup of poison, suddenly fell down, was unconscious, and then that's it. And everyone was like shocked, like what happened now? He just was around. Next moment, he's like not here again. So in that sense, the whole thing, the whole emotion, right? For different kind of devotees. Everyone was able, or not everyone, but a lot of devotees came visited. Were able to partake in this kind of pastime because it was dragged for a longer time period, right? So yeah, actually, kind of brilliant. I mean, really tragic pastime, but brilliant for us, for our mind. To break our mindsets. I think it's really nice. I mean, we think about all these things, just see, right? Imagine it would be different.
But just imagine how much suffering. We just went through all those medical symptoms. Do you really want, I mean,
No,
devotees,
of course, we don't want that to see. But that's the point, because
but
that increase our attachment to the Prabhupada, no?
okay. So, I mean, just the cutting of the hair of Lord Chaitanya, you know, that is like such a huge, I mean, devastating pastime for devotees of Lord Chaitanya to
You
even
see, yeah.
what to, that's like disfigurement and like that we devotees are asked to, see that. And what to speak of this kind of huge symptoms. Horrible, horrible. I mean, you can see anybody else was going through it, like tortured. There is no torture like this in
I
this.
mean, it also, I mean, it also shows, right, the intensity. So maybe to really make the point, my dear disciples, you are in Kali Yuga, don't expect anything here. This I show you. This is like the bottom of it, right? Get out, get out. Take it really serious. Also to underline this point, it's not just it's not like a fairy tale. It's not like okay, then he went into the Himalayas. Like you hear the stories from other yogis sometimes, right? Where they like, oh, and then he went in a hut and everything was, and suddenly you just saw a light bulb and bam, he was gone. Something like this. So it's not this miraculous, right? It's not that mysterious, right? It was really, visible and terrible in that sense, right? But maybe to really underline also that, right? It's Kali Yuga. Get out.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Another point actually we can also look into how merciful Prabhupada was, that even though being troubled by so many months of poisoning, he never rebuked his disciple or uh, thrown them out. So that is another thing we should also consider, that how merciful Prabhupada, being through all this kind of situation, tortured, but still he, he remained compassionate to his disciples. And just to get into the previous point of pastimes, so there was one of the pastime where Prabhupada was talking to disciples, and he was telling he will consult with Krishna, that whether he can live any longer or not. So there was some pastime related to it. I'm not able to fully recollect, but there was some pastime in that relation where Prabhupada was consulted Krishna whether he can live any longer. Means if Krishna wanted him to stay further in this material world, or he wants him to come back to the abode.
Very nice. Balram Prabhu, your electronic hand must be tired by now. Balram Prabhu, you want to say? You're on mute. Maybe Balram Prabhu.
Sorry, Prabhu, were you talking to us?
Yeah. You had your hand up.
First of all, apologies for coming late, and so I may repeat some stuff that's come up. But I really feel right now, from the little bit I've heard and read that's been spoken on, there's a lot of speculation we're having. And it seems like the first one is based on, like what the question is coming up, what for he is showing. What for he is showing was that why he was poisoned? Is that the question? He's
No, the
why he was showing this
bodily
Leela?
symptoms. The bodily symptoms.
Bodily symptoms of what?
Of poison symptoms.
See, the bodily symptoms of him being poisoned is our speculation. But we know, because see, in one sense, we're saying, not one sense, one fact we're saying right now, Prabhupada has a spiritual body. Another set we're saying bodily symptoms of being poisoned. Another one we're saying, oh my God, how bad it was that he was tortured. He had to tolerate so much. But when we say these words, we're feeling, wait a minute, are we saying he had a transcendental body or not? If he has a transcendental, he's not feeling any of this. If there's anything he's going to feel, as far as I'm concerned, with him having a transcendental body, it's just the disappointment that one or two or three of his disciples, and of course he knows deep down some others also, have the desire to want to see their spiritual master disappear as quick as possible so they can take that position. That as far as I can think, not, of course, is not having experiencing any kind of material pain, but just, we've heard, I think, if it's correct, that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati was disgusted, so therefore he left 10 years earlier than I don't know how correct that is, please correct me. So he was disgusted, so he left 10 years earlier than he should have. So similarly, of course, we can say, if that's right from an authentic source, then Prabhupada would have been sadly disappointed at some of his disciples having died. But at the same time, expected, because he knows Kali Yuga. He knows all the minds of Kali Yuga, and he's trying his best to facilitate everybody getting purified and not having that desire. And still, even if there is those who wanted to poison him, still Prabhupada was engaging, because that's the only way to get his disciples and everybody else purified. So, I'm right now, I'm kind of a bit confused because there's people talking like, oh my God, horrific. Prabhupada had to deal with this case. On the other hand, we're saying transcendental body, not material body. So these two kind of don't go together. As far as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu having his hair cut, that's a completely different situation, and devotees were, it's another transcendental bliss to miss having getting his hair, or not seeing him without his hair or something like that. So I'm a little bit confused as to these two views coming up. Oh my God, terrified, horrible. He was crucified. He had to tolerate. On the other hand, he has a transcendental body. So what are we saying here?
So, such a nice, wonderful, transcendental vision you have put there, Balaram Prabhu. Thank you very, very much. Otherwise, one can go in this consciousness, no, that that Srila Prabhupada poison and all these things like a material person. So, and maybe we can take this opportunity to again one time. 1 second. Go through Srila Prabhupada's what he says about his form. And this I have picked up from Yashodanandan Prabhu's Leelamrita review, which I have been telling. This is excellent paper for us to read. So this is from the first canto, 13th chapter, 55th verse. A pure devotee of the Lord does not live on any planet of the material sky, i.e., he is not living in this earth when he was being so-called poisoned. So how he's not even living there? How can he be poisoned? Nor does he feel any contact with the material elements. No contact. So no cadmium can actually come in contact with his body. His so-called material body does not exist. So-called. Being surcharged with the spiritual current of the Lord's identical interest. And thus he is permanently freed from all contaminations of the sum total of the mahat-tattva. The mahat-tattva, meaning cadmium is just a little tiny, like tiny inverse proportional, how much tiny of this mahat-tattva. Nothing can come in touch with his spiritual body. Therefore, his body is chinmaya. That is, it is spiritual, not material. From the 10th canto, 1st chapter, when he was supposedly being poisoned. Okay? And this same time, according to Hari Bhakti Vilas, therefore, after the disappearance of the Acharya, his body is never burned to ashes, for it is a spiritual body. The spiritual body is always insufficient, unaffected by natural condition. Therefore, a devotee who engages in the service of the Supreme Lord and who constantly thinks of him should never be considered to have a material body. It is therefore enjoined, Gurushu Naramati. One should stop thinking of the spiritual master as an ordinary human being with a material body. An ignorant person may see that a devotee is acting or working like an ordinary man, but such a person with a poor fund of knowledge does not know that the activities of the devotee or of the Lord are not contaminated by impure consciousness or matter. They are transcendental to the three modes of material nature. So this explains, like many others, that the Lord and the pure devotees, they come on with the same process. This is the divinity of the personality of Godhead. He is not affected by the qualities of material nature, even though he is in contact with them. Similarly, the devotees of the Lord do not become influenced by the material qualities. The personality of Godhead and his liberated devotees like Narada appear in the material world by the same process. It is said in the Bhagavad Gita, the birth and activities of the Lord are all transcendental. The Lord and his devotees are therefore simultaneously one and different in spiritual entities, different as spiritual entities. They belong to the same category of transcendence. I mean, it can't be any more said, same category. The Lord comes to this material world through the agency of his internal potency, and similarly, when a devotee or associate with the Lord descends to this material world, he does so through the action of the spiritual energy, which cannot be touched by cadmium, arsenic, mercury, anything. So, thank you, Balram Prabhu. How are these symptoms coming then? What's going on here? Extreme photophobia, chronic conjunctivitis, mucus in lungs. What are all these things?
Just like Lakshmi Devi wants to exhibit that pastime to these envious people, to the materialistic people. So Prabhupada wants to show that thing for the materialistic people who are trying to poison him. I feel it like that, Prabhu.
Excellent, Prabhu. Really, really good. I'm not going to touch on that now. It's a very good point. Let us have more discussion on it. Anyone else has anything else to say? Why? How? After hearing all these quotes, statements of Srila Prabhupada, how is it all these things are happening to Srila Prabhupada's body, which we see?
I want to ask a question. It's like a little bit different. Sorry, but I'll just throw it out there so I don't forget. If we're saying there are people who believe that Srila Prabhupada left his body because he was poisoned. So, okay, let's say 3, 4, 5, let's say 5% of ISKCON. Let's put 500 devotees, 1,000, so 4,500 disciples, something like that. That absolutely were fearing Prabhupada leaving and couldn't think of living without him, and were praying and crying and serving to have Prabhupada stay. So that should supersede the desires of those that wanted him to go. So my question out there for later, maybe in this discussion, is if we're saying those who think Prabhupada left his body because he was poisoned, but then there are others who didn't want him to leave. So Prabhupada could override that. So it doesn't add up to me that the so-called poison issue was the reason for him to leave his body.
Very good. Very excellent. So wonderful. All these points should come to an answer. You know, everything. One answer should fix all of these questions and everything, because this is true that we are seeing these symptoms from cadmium. This before cadmium poisoning, they were not there. After cadmium poisoning, they came. They were very clear.
Prabhu, another analogy, I'll just maybe you can elaborate further. I'll just give a point. How we have seen in the some of centuries ago, when some of the rulers from outside India, they attacked uh, India, and they destroyed the temples and the Archana Murtis and all. So in a way, they how we can also say that if the Lord is already is there, then how can it happen? So this is also another, maybe we can put into our consideration this analogy and explain.
And Jesus' crucifixion also can be added to this analogy, I feel.
Yeah, so somehow I think we come back to this question, or we would like to have a more idealistic way, you know. We think like, oh, this kind of pastime is so horrendous, so shocking. Why was it not like nicer? We don't want to see such kind of pastime. This seems to be like our perspective is like this, right? It's similar, like, oh, we don't want to see temple getting destroyed. How can it be if you know, if God is already there in the temple? How can other people come and destroy? So why? You know, what is the point here? So because we idealize things, right? Same with Jesus. So and all these stories is like always like, you know, we want that everything is easy going, right? So we are here, okay, we do some yagas, we have a nice material life, and then, you know, we get liberated just because we are nice people. But this just not how it's going, right? So
Yeah.
it's like hard, right? So and this is what Srila Prabhupada and then other devotees and other pastimes basically show us, right? It's like this is not the place to be, right? And I think in that sense, again, you know, I said it before, it or you know, it's underlining the importance of that we need to take it serious and have to go, right? Because there's always some, or the material energy itself, you know, then represented by envious people around us, you know, want to harm, wants to harm, or wants to, it's not it's not the right place. It's not the right place for us. So I think in that sense, you know, it's a perfect pastime, right? And it goes hand in hand with all the other yeah, great personalities.
Yeah, I agree, Prabhu. I think, yeah, we are trying to idealize everything based on our assumption and our mindset. But actually, another point can also be taken. We are seeing the things with a limited time span. Just like if we see
Yes.
Pandavas, they also went through years of struggle throughout their life, be it from the childhood to the youth, even after getting the king, getting not actually not getting their kingdom, and then the kingdom got divided into two, and they got Indraprastha, which was a barren land, and then again they got bereft of the Indraprastha, they went for Vanvasa. If we see that their life also, it was a very struggle life, and people in, if if they see only the half part of the story, they will see a lot of it was not an ideal life for anyone. But if they see the full story, then they will understand, no, no, this story makes sense. Actually, this has lot of learnings for all of us. And another thing what happens is, when we see entire life of Pandavas, it all the struggles they have been through, it has actually glorified their lives. If they have not gone through all the struggles of in the past, what they have been through, and just they got all the mercy of Krishna and from the beginning, means definitely they were seeing Krishna's hand, but materially people may not be seeing that. uh, so if they would have not gone through all these struggles, their life would have not been as much as exemplified or glorified. So sometimes these issues are there in order to glorify the devotee's life also. So we can also accept this, and we are seeing this as a very limited time frame. It is just like not even 100 years have been passed down, and this moment is going to live for next 10,000 years. So we are very much in the beginning. We are seeing with very mini telescope, microscope of the entire picture. We have to see the full view of it, then we may be able to understand. Maybe if if we if we see something, maybe 100 years from now or 500, maybe things will change and unfold, why this has happened, why this has not happened.
Mhm. But
I'm maybe
even,
talking too optimistic.
no, but even now we can see from now itself which devotees were feeling even in November 1977, that Srila Prabhupada, your main service was to write books, especially the Bhagavatam, and you only completed the 10th canto, 13th chapter. What about the rest of the Bhagavatam? Why didn't you complete those? That service, the main service to your spiritual master. Why did you leave early?
uh, See, this is something only pure devotee can answer. We can only contemplate and speculate. Or if Prabhupada has given some clarification, we may be able to uh, decipher some of the books and understand. Because activities of Krishna and his pure devotees, only Bhagavata can, or someone who is at the pure platform can understand why and what has he has done.
We should be able to understand from the eyes of the scriptures. No?
Yeah.
That's what we are trying to do by
Yes. No, I'm not denying that we should not think. We can, but we have to also accept our limited intelligence.
Yeah, Babu say all the answers are there in my books, and we read and discuss among devotees, and we should be able to understand everything. There's nothing.
Mm.
Not Krishna also says to Arjun, there's nothing for you to know after this. Cannot be anything which we cannot know by this process.
Right.
Um, why don't we go? These are all such good. These are all Srila Prabhupada's disciples talking. All wonderful topics, understanding from the scriptures. No speculation here. It's so good. Let us go to the other. Maybe this will help. Where different ways of killing a pure devotee were attempted. And scriptures meaning from Srila Prabhupada's statements. So Bhishma Pitamaha, Arjuna, he threw like hundreds of arrows at Bhishma. and he basically fell down on the battlefield, Kurukshetra, incapacitated, he could not move. But he was fully conscious. Krishna even took the Pandavas after the whole battle was finished to gain instructions from him. Just like Srila Prabhupada, he was lying in his room in Vrindavan and being poisoned and all of that, and he was speaking the highest philosophy. So we understand that was to fulfill Bhishma's desire to be chivalrous, as a reciprocation with Lord Krishna, and seeing him pastime also to glorify him and hear. Um, so he did die. But it was not a normal dying because even with 1,000 arrows or something, he was, let's say, alive, and he passed on with his will. So it was not like a normal body, we can see that. And in the case of Ambrish Maharaj, we all know Durvasa Muni cursed him, thinking that he will kill Ambrish Maharaj for insulting him by breaking the Ekadashi fast by drinking water when the time was passing. And such a like a faultless devotee, he tried to kill. And what happened is, of course, Amrish Maharaj was not at all affected by a Brahmana's curse, which is considered not overcomable. But Sudarshan Chakra came down and he ran after Durvasa Muni. Krishna protected him. Then Prahlad Maharaj, we were just hearing about the poison, but there were many, many ways he was tried to be killed by father's associates or his servants. Trident, and I think swords were also used. Elephant wanted to crush, like maddened elephants, it says. And of course, poisoning, throwing from the mountain. Each time Krishna protected. And because he was just meditating, Prahlad Maharaj was meditating on Lord Krishna. And the purport, Srila Prabhupada says that actually Krishna became like a protective cover over Prahlad Maharaj. And anytime they were trying to kill Prahlad, they were actually trying to kill Krishna because they were attacking Krishna in that form of protective cover. Something similar happened with Haridas Thakur. In the 22 marketplace, 22 22 canes were hit on Haridas Thakur, trying to kill him because Srila Prabhupada says, he said, I have become a Hindu. So Muslim became very upset with him, and he caned him to kill him, but nothing happened because Lord Chaitanya appeared on his back in the covering, some kind of a protective cover line. So the canes didn't even hit Haridas Thakur. And so this is what happened with Haridas Thakur. And then Lord Jesus, we know, he was crucified by the Roman governor and such. And then with some envious disciples, because of by instigation and support. So Srila Prabhupada explained that he couldn't be killed because he's pure devotee. So he went into samadhi, and in 3 days he woke up from his samadhi, and then he left from there. And he was, even at that time, he was saying, "Oh Lord, please forgive, Lord, please forgive." Prabhupada says that, please forgive them. Then Bhaktivedanta Saraswati, it seems the Goswamis of Vrindavan, they were very upset with him. They wanted to kill him. So they wanted to hire either the police inspector of that region or somebody else they wanted to hire, and they gave a bribe to the police. They were trying to hire somebody else to kill him, but they were going to give a bribe of 25,000 rupees in that time, like 100 years back, to so that the police won't take any action or something like that. But there was a 25,000 bribe mentioned, and this police officer, he came to Bhaktivedanta Saraswati and revealed the whole plan that I don't want to be part of this abomination. So and it didn't come to pass. So Krishna protected him like that. So again, we come to Srila Prabhupada. Why didn't Krishna protect him as he protected everybody? Except Bhima. Bhima, we knew this was a whole pastime which we already understand what was the pastime. And he was on the other side, and all those things were there too, and externally. Yeah, let's not go through this more, but this 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 is the similar to what we were discussing here, that so many times we have heard Srila Prabhupada and all these devotees were always being protected. So this is the thing, when pure devotees have been in mortal danger, Lord Krishna either protected his pure devotees, as we have seen, or let them be affected to enact some pastime, or then left a material body to bewilder fools and envious, which is done by Krishna and Lakshmi Devi. Anyway, we'll come to that. So till this, anything before we go to the next? Such leelas of the pure devotees serve to attract us to them and develop a greater appreciation and affection for them. So this leela of Srila Prabhupada is to serves to many things, including this. Okay, so still you remember the pastime of when Mother Sita was taken by Ramana, and this Brahmana in Chaitanya Charitamrita is described in Kurma Kshetra. He was so upset that he that that Mother Sita, how could he be touched by and by kidnapped by Ravana? So upset that he couldn't even eat properly, cook properly for Lord Chaitanya. And so similarly, if you see, I mean, this would be very, very upsetting for devotees. No? I mean, why enact a pastime like this, which will like devastate his disciples, his devotees? So horrible torture. So, of course, we understand from by reading, by going through all of this, all these pastimes, and what the discussion we had, that there may be many, many reasons behind all of this. But the fact also remains that his body, which is a spiritual form, is going through these transformations, seemingly because of the cadmium. Why? How? So what I come to this is this.
Prabhu, sorry, can you state that again, please, what you just said?
His, as you were mentioning, Prabhu, that he has a spiritual form, and we read from Srila Prabhupada so many times that his body is a spiritual form. It's not in touch even with material world. How could then there be all these transformations, these symptoms of cadmium poisoning specifically? Of And it is so horrible for devotees to watch, even though we can say yes, all these are these pastimes, that pastimes, but it is very horrible too to see this is happening. um, so And there are pastimes in the in our whole parampara which is explaining that Lord Chaitanya was trying to relieve the 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 anxiety of the Kurma Brahmana because he was upset that how Mother Sita was even touched by Ramana. So Lord Chaitanya, he went back to Kurma Kshetra with those pages to show him and relieve his anxiety that actually Mother Sita was not touched by Ramana. So why would this be done like this? Like you were mentioning, no, Prabhu, that there are thousands of other devotees too. Then why their desire to keep Srila Prabhupada should be more than 2, 3, 4, 5 devotees at that time who were trying to think, they were thinking that they can actually kill Srila Prabhupada through poison when he is of the spiritual body. So there, like it says that Krishna comes to this world to please his devotees and to protect his devotees and to kill the demons. Prabhupada said the killing the demons he can do anytime. What he comes is actually for or anyhow, but what he comes is to have pastimes with the devotees. That is his more important function. So his from the pastime of Srila Prabhupada having a poison, this becomes a really like when we are talking about so horrible, no, just people, many devotees don't even know, think about it because they feel like, oh my God, how can we even for our master and everything, Srila Prabhupada, how can we even see all these like all these symptoms? Whom devotees were like doing everything even just to see one single thing is not out of place, pleasing in every way possible, and dedicating their lives. And then this kind of whole whole thing is presented to devotees. So Prabhu, the way the only answer comes to me is that he left a Maya body to do this. What Rancho Prabhu was just mentioning, and you were also mentioning, that he let some people believe that he was being poisoned and manifested such symptoms to those people who were thinking he has a material body, but his spiritual body cannot be touched. No? I mean, if we
Sorry, I just want to ask you,
your voice is not clear, Prabhu.
is it clear now? Our internet
Yes.
connection is not so good. Is it okay? Now, I just want to ask this Maya body that I just heard just now being said. I've never heard of it. Can you give us any references to Prabhupada using such a thing about himself or other pure devotees?
Okay, so Lord Krishna created a material body when he was conducting his pastime from Goloka. It is described in the 12th canto when the hunter threw an arrow. That arrow didn't actually touch Lord Krishna's lotus feet. It touched maybe a feet away. One, it's not some distance away from his lotus feet, and he left one body there. So people felt, oh, he has passed away. And Srila Prabhupada explained that that was for those demons and envious people. They thought, oh, see, Krishna is a man and he actually was killed and he did that. But what Krishna did was in his self-same body, spiritual body, he went back to Goloka or he wound up his pastime in this world and he went into the Bhagavatam. He says that he went into Bhagavatam, so devotees can perceive him by hearing and chanting about him. He's present right there. He didn't actually leave even for the spiritual world, let's say. Even in this universe, he's present in the Bhagavatam. Then
Well,
Lakshmi Devi, the first consort of Lord Chaitanya, we were reading before in Chaitanya Charitamrita, is mentioned similarly. And then Sita Devi is Chaitanya Charitamrita, again it is mentioned that she was kidnapped by Ramana. Then that time Agni Dev took her to his abode, but a Maya Sita body came and was taken by Ramana and taken to Lanka and kidnapped and all this. And then when she was tested, her chastity was tested after the after the war. Then a fire was built, and the fire came out. There was fire was lit, and that is Agni. So when he was invoked like this, he brought the real Sita, and the Maya created Sita was burnt, and the real Sita came out from the other side. So see this whole
would I be right in understanding, just so we're clear for everybody, that we're not saying Prabhupada has simultaneously a Maya body and a spiritual body through his life? It was a Maya body created at the leela of him leaving the body. It was then done. So actually then does it mean that the hair, the skin, or whatever we're analyzing, whatever devotees analyze for this poison case, this is taken from the Maya body of Prabhupada, correct?
That's what it seems like, Prabhu. I don't have, I mean, this kind of thinking, what we are discussing, and what this kind of hypothesis. Let us discuss it, and then we will show it around to all the senior devotees, and let's have discussions more and more. Maybe many devotees are already thinking like that, and this is it's called philosophical speculation, not mental speculation, based on the scriptures. So that when I look at this way, then all these things get answered. All the things which we were thinking about. Otherwise, it's difficult to put everything together. Because his body was showing cadmium poisoning symptoms and was withering away. So, and a spiritual body cannot. So there was cadmium thing found, as you were saying. So, how can a spiritual body form be touched by all these material elements and envious disciples? So to show them that yes, you are killing, maybe this is what Srila Prabhupada did. And for all other disciples, he, just like Krishna went into Bhagavatam, and he is present in this universe. No, he's not wound up his pastimes. So he's present in his same self, same pastime body of this, in this pastime of Lord Chaitanya. In that same body, in his deity form, he's present. In his photo form, he's present, unlimitedly expanded. He's right there. And also in his dreams, he comes in the book form present. In his devotees, he expands in his form of Avirbhav, which is a bhava form, just like Krishna was in the form in Vrindavan. He never leaves Vrindavan, but he's there in the consciousness of the devotees. So, and Lord Chaitanya also expanded as an Avirbhav form to different devotees, consciousness form. And in Shakti Avesh also, many devotees can get his Shakti. So he's present there too, you know. And in his real ISKCON too, in his instructions of ISKCON, properly formed and organized. Of course, in the spiritual world, he is originally present in his forms in the Krishna Lila and Lord Chaitanya, different forms. Even while he was, when he was manifesting his pastimes in this universe, and even now when he's unmanifested the pastimes for the materialist and envious, but he is still manifesting his self same pastimes even now. for his devotees, disciples.
So then would we be would we be incorrect in saying actually, look, Srila Prabhupada has been poisoned. Srila Prabhupada was poisoned. That would be incorrect, right? If this theory is what we're going with, and it is a theory right now, our speculation to make it all fit, the correct sentence would be Prabhupada's Maya expansion or Maya created body was poisoned. That would be factually correct if we go with this line of thinking, right? Otherwise,
Yeah. So technically, yes, between us that we are speaking, but for the world, but for the outer world.
This devotee, Lucky Prabhu.
Yeah.
You see, because I really feel like Lucky Prabhu is writing, yes, we have to share this with more. The evidence is all there. It's a hard topic, but the truth is important, especially Prabhupada was not in regular body. But when we say to people, even new devotees, Prabhupada was, and even not so new medium devotees, that takes people to think that Prabhupada has a material body. So I don't want to have that propaganda. Prabhupada is poison, Prabhupada poison. So immediately there should be the correct formation of a sentence that encapsulate that complete conclusive truth, rather than, as I see now, give people the idea more that Prabhupada had a material body. Oh my God, Prabhupada is poison, how terrible.
Mhm. That's a very good point. So the way Naveen Krishna Prabhu, whom I respect really, really much because he's doing this service, this thankless service from last whatever 27, 28 years. He, of course, they are going with the thinking that his attempted assassination. So just like one can see that Ravana, he kidnapped Sita. Now, in the court of public opinion, no public, we're not talking about devotees and disciples of Srila Prabhupada, the court of public opinion, one would go as that because that's how that pastime is manifested there, no, for that, for those, all the people. I don't know how else to say. How can anyone understand these internal features of, I mean, that's why in all over the scriptures, only a few places it is mentioned this pastime of Sita Devi, of Maya Sita and real Sita. It's not even mentioned everywhere. But because the Kurma Brahman, who was so much in anxiety about this, he could not bear that Mother Sita was even touched by the hand of this obnoxious Ramana. No, that he could not even eat. So Lord Chaitanya, so he went and relieved his anxiety and explained to him. And Srila Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami then inscribed that pastime in Chaitanya Charitamrita for all the future disciples of and followers of Lord Ram and all the, you know, all those pastimes to relieve them of this anxiety. So for disciples and devotees, definitely we need to explain if this is, if devotees all confirm that yes, this kind of understanding is the correct understanding, then we should do that. But for the public opinion, I don't know how will that work. How will they even understand all these things? I mean, how can even, they don't even understand Srila Prabhupada as a spiritual form, you know, that he's come from the spiritual world, all these things.
A question on this point of view. Did Prabhupada, as I know, but it's just what I heard, did Prabhupada think that it was ridiculous for Christians to believe that Jesus was crucified?
Well, the thing, what I understand from all his teaching, one place he says that after his crucifixion, then the movement, his movement spread, his teaching spread. But we also understand from Lord Chaitanya's, what he explained that the Old Testament and the New Testament, they have so many inconsistencies. They are sentimental. They are pseudo religions. So these kind of he died for us, all those things, that sentiment, emotions can come out for those kind of followers. And one can develop a large following based on the sentimental thinking, which is not shastrically correct. But it helps one to come closer and have faith in Lord Jesus, or even Srila Prabhupada maybe later. But that is a sentimental followers. Definitely they become pious because of that. They could become pious because of that. They become more faithful. But that is just the preliminary understanding. After that, they have to be taken up in consciousness. So, I don't know. So this is where we are at. I mean, if we go through all the points that were made here and maybe more, with this understanding of two forms and the spiritual form existing now, I feel like all of these get answered. You can go through them. That how could Krishna enact this pastime? Of course he could, because he has done it earlier, and himself did it. Lakshmi Devi did it, Lord Chaitanya's consort, and Sita did it. So he could do it for Srila Prabhupada too, because they come with the same process of transcendence, same way they descend and they appear and disappear. So he can easily do it. And this training, as you were saying, how to die, all this can be done through the material form and also in the spiritual form, that we never die. We always live. And the material body one can leave behind, and all these things he also showed. Metaphor for poisoning the teachings, all there. I didn't catch this part, but don't expect anything in the world. All these are all true. So merciful, being troubled or tortured. Of course, he was his spiritual form cannot be tortured. It cannot even be in touch with the material feelings and all that. But consciousness, as you were saying, and Param Prabhu, that troubled because he's seeing some disciples are becoming offensive, and they're trying to think that he's material person and trying to kill him and stop his mission. And so that is the troubling part. But Srila Prabhupada states that he will consult with Krishna. So he could do or not do, he could leave or not leave, because he has a spiritual form. Even though the material form which they were poisoning was getting more and more poison, but he could easily revive that material form easily. Yes, Prabhu?
Sorry, a little bit inconsistency, because right now you just said that Srila Prabhupada's material form was being poisoned, which is a little bit different, or quite different, from the previous speculation that we said, which is that Prabhupada manifested the material Maya form when he left. At the time when he left, actually, let's say, I don't know what you want to call it, left our material vision, then he left behind something like Krishna, some kind of material form that people can take hair from and analyze and get all this stuff. So that means
Poisoning was being done the last 18 months, and the cadmium symptoms are recorded for all these months, 18 months. So,
yes.
so 18 months is when it seems like he was manifesting that form in some manner. Because otherwise,
yes, but where
touch his spiritual form. No? So there is no way it can ever do anything to his spiritual form. It can only do anything if he creates a material form, and that symptom he then shows to the devotees.
Yeah, but I just want to state that I think another devotee mentioned it earlier, is don't forget, we are in an impure state. So we're dealing with facts and how can it be and how should it be, blah, 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 with our material limited logic. But for spiritual potency and spiritual energy in dealing with the pure devotee Krishna, they can manifest anything to do with anything. They can manifest anything from anything. So, we're trying to say, well, it has to be like this, or it has to be no, it doesn't have to be like that. It can be something beyond what we know. So because therefore we're going that it can only be like this. So Prabhupada has to have manifested a Maya form. So for us to get this information from, it doesn't have to be like that. So we should bear in mind, please, that this is part of our speculation.
It's called philosophical speculation.
Yeah,
based
it's okay. Yeah. I agree.
Of course, this is a hypothesis. That's why I was mentioning that let us discuss this thoroughly and also consult with other devotees around. And maybe some I've already been thinking like that. And maybe finally we can all become, it becomes accepted, whether this or a permutation of this or a different version. So this is what I am readily saying. This is, I'm just coming up with a hypothesis based on this, that this could be, and my arguments, let's say, I'm saying, it need not be a fact. I may be completely wrong. So why leave when thousands of devotees wanted him to stay? He didn't leave. He's still present in so many of his forms. And this we haven't covered yet, and we don't think we will cover. It's a different whole thing. And Jesus' crucifixion we covered. Horrendous pastime. Why not Maya? So this horrendous, then it is okay, because then the devotees are relieved by thinking that it's his material form and not a spiritual form. And of course these struggles, of course, but they were protected throughout. But here it seemed like Srila Prabhupada was not being protected, and he had to be poisoned and suffer all these things. And so a material form can answer that also, that part of poisoning struggle. Of course, it glorifies pure devotee is so powerful that he could do that, and almost like Krishna and Lakshmi Devi and Sita Devi. Krishna is Vishnu Tattva, Lakshmi Devi, Sita Devi are Shakti Tattva, and he is Jiva Tattva. But we also know he has got a Shakti by Lord Krishna to preach this cult, almost like Narad Muni, maybe even more than Narad Muni, if we go through his pastime comparatively. Of course, he's coming in the parampara, and he's a small child like that of Lord Narada, and from his potency, he has a spiritual form, just like Narad Muni. He he had a spiritual form, and then there was a pralaya, and then everything was unmanifested in the Lord's body. And then when he again manifested, the universes came out, and Narad Muni in that same spiritual form came out through Lord Brahma, a nostril, I think, of Lord Brahma. And in that same spiritual body, he is traveling everywhere, same spiritual form. So in that manner, it glorifies him and everything. So why didn't he complete Srimad Bhagavatam? I have some other maybe we can talk about that. And this, as you were saying, this is what this is. Maybe Srila Prabhupada knows some devotees want to believe Prabhupada was poisoned. So he manifested such symptoms to give them this taste and rasa. This is what it is. And Ranchor Prabhu was also saying exactly the same thing, that he created a different form. Now, of course, this will attract. So if there are any other inconsistencies in this explanation, we should discuss that, we can think over these, and then we can discuss them more.
Yeah. Can I bring one point? Because maybe just another. I mean, it's basically clear, but to really point it out. So we also read before in one of the verses. So the pure devotee, they descend, right? They descend into the material world. So basically, they decide, or of course, together with Krishna, but they decide to go. So it's their free will to go, right? Whereas we don't have this free will, right? So we are conditioned here, so we can't say like, oh yeah, should I take this purse or should I be here? So we are on the karmic cycle. So in that sense also, uh, the devotee decides to play a certain role like an actor, right? So and in that role also then of course, he decides to manifest certain things. He decides to manifest a poisonous state. So for the other for the souls, for the conditioned souls to observe that, right? But it's not mandatory, right? It's not that he cannot decide otherwise, right? But he decides to play the role for a certain result or for a certain because yeah. But it's not that he's conditioned by it. So in that sense, yeah. Also, we can't really say no. Of course, he was not poisoned. The body was never poisoned. Maybe yeah. Maybe you find cadmium because it's part of the role that you have to find something as always, right? So always as the materialists also get their arguments, the devotees always have their arguments, right? So it basically never touches. That also, so the devotee descends, as we read, right? So never touch the material energy in that sense, so never touch the material consciousness. In that sense, always protected, right? To fall into a material consciousness, whereas the materialist always tries to somehow capture the spiritual energy and abuse the spiritual energy for his own selfish purposes and try to superimpose his will, right? But is actually never able to do so. But just the conditioned souls just observe, oh, it is like it. It seems to be like this. They are convinced that Sita was kidnapped. They are convinced Srila Prabhupada was poisoned, right? In fact, it's not, because it's energetically not possible, and this is a promise that's always protected. You never fall. The pure devotee can never fall into the material consciousness, because never touching. It's never touching. The energy never touch. So and everything is his free will, basically. Or he together. But it's his decision that okay, now I have the poisonous leela, basically. Now I show symptoms that that everyone around me thinks like, oh, he's poisoned, right? And he's basically like an actor, right? So we think like, oh, you see, wow, here, stunt and crash and blood, and wow, it seems so convincing. In fact, it's just like paint and effects on a computer and whatever, right? It's never really happened. Is it not similar like that?
And also we can see that even though Ravana took the Maya Sita, the materially, Maya means materially created. It's not like a illusory form, no? Materially from this material world created form. So even though he created that materially created, Mother Sita created that form, and Ravana took that form, and actually, you see the spiritual form of Mother Sita was never kidnapped, but still that act, that attempt of Ravana of trying to do it, trying to kidnap, and to show to the world, because they all will see this, that he was being kidnapped. He killed his whole everybody in the kingdom, like anybody, Ravana and all who were supporting him, he killed Lord Ram. So it is real in one sense to a great section of the world, and in the law of like the whole material aspect of the world, that is real. That is should be considered real.
Yeah, exactly. It
But
appears to be really real for the material eyes. It's a
and
really good play.
when we are acting in the material, like they are doing the court case and all, definitely, Lord Ram showed how to treat that, because the Ravana didn't know he is kidnapping materially created form, and the real Sita is not there. He didn't know that. His intention was to kidnap. So that is to be curtailed and really smashed, which Lord Ram did. So the devotees are doing that, following Lord Ram. But also, I feel for devotees, no, it is very horrendous to hear. Like we were talking about, just the cutting of the Lord's hair is like such a pound, on the heart of devotees. What to speak of like this on Srila Prabhupada's body? So when one hears that, not only one can be relieved of that anxiety, but also get so much inspiration to touch Srila Prabhupada in his form right now. He is real Srila Prabhupada is present, and he went into so many forms and into so many places, in not so many forms, but so many places in his form, this pastime form of this world. To touch Srila Prabhupada and excavate him in all of these places. Because this could become really bewildering otherwise. Okay, so shall we finish here now? Next week, no, I'm hoping that we um, don't have to um, we don't go to the next topic next week, but keep on this, because there will be a lot of follow up, and I'm also hoping we devotees, if devotees can help in this. What I've been doing, no, I've been going through these pastimes of Prahlad Maharaj and Bhima and Garuda Pandit and Lakshmi Devi, and reading different places what Srila Prabhupada writes. And this is, of course, I have not been able to cover, been copying here and understanding. And it would be great if different devotees could go through different pastimes and and present to us, like in 5 minutes, what they understood by, like Prahlad Maharaj pastime. There are a few verses, and then Srila Prabhupada talks about, refers to this in different lectures and conversations. So if devotees could research that and come back to us and say, this is what Srila Prabhupada, maybe 5, maybe 10 minutes it may take, to say this is what Srila Prabhupada says in all these places, and the summary is this. This is how he was protected. And so just for us to understand what exactly is this what I have written here, is this correct? And much better way devotees can present, and also we can understand more subtleties. This is just like a hammer way I have just written out, but many more subtleties may come out to understand how a pure devotee is being handled, like a cat, like a rat, and like a baby cat in cat's mouth. So if all of these pastimes are there in different places, yeah, is it possible devotees can volunteer?
I will try to look up for the story of Mirabai.
Your daughter is Mirabai, right? Okay. You may have to go other places too, other than Srila Prabhupada's teaching.
Yeah, of course.
And I have to take help of somebody in Rajasthan because they may know that language. We need authentic sources.
Yeah, I will try to find something. Let's see.
Okay. Anyone for Bhakta Prahlad? Gauranga Prabhu, could you do this? Oh, you know what you could do? You are like this pastime, Lakshmi Devi pastime. I'm going to write your name. Okay? Because everywhere it is being said, I talk to a few devotees, they say, no, snake bit her. But nowhere in Chaitanya Charitamrita and then in Chaitanya Bhagavad it is mentioned that snake bit her. It is always snake of separation. So where did this come from, this snake thing? But she did leave. And then there is a whole article, a long article which Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, he wrote about this topic on exactly the topic we are discussing today. I cannot understand maybe 2% of it translated into English, but it is very, very good topic how Krishna and pure devotees can leave their material bodies and go and to enact other pastimes and to show the materialist people. And I'm going to actually send a link. One second. Excuse me. Somewhere it was there. Here. I'm putting it in the WhatsApp. This link. And I don't think anyone else other than Gauranga Sundar can really understand this. Gauranga Sundar Prabhu, I just posted I'll post it in the chat also here. This is a really too high philosophy, but one get the gist of it, that what we are talking about may be correct, that how she left, and this whole thing about leaving the material body behind. Okay, Prabhu, Gauranga Sundar Prabhu, I've written you. Then about Parikshit Maharaj, anyone? It's on the 12th canto. Anyone? Leo Prabhu, would you like to?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Sure, not a problem.
Thank you. About the And if you have any, we can work together during the week so that you are able to present. We can make a nice presentable format later. But you can please contact me. I can show you where to find, how to find. Okay, Prabhu. And Lucky Prabhu, would you like to take Lord Shiva pastime? So shy, huh? Maybe I'll ask him later. Okay. Okay. Then Prahlad Maharaj, who will take up this is oh great, Haridas Thakur, caning is such a nice pastime. Thank you, Bhakta Ezra. And please, if you have any issues or anything, you can contact me and we can work together if you need any help. But I'm sure you will do all right with Krishna in your heart, and Balaram Prabhu and other devotees to help you, but in case I'm offering. So thank you very much, Srila Prabhu. And Lord Jesus, who is going to? Anyone? Lord Jesus? I will see if our Rajavidya Prabhu can do this. John here. Then Prahlad Maharaj is the most important in this way because the way he was being. Which one more? Bhakta Prahlad? Shuddha Sattva Prabhu, would you like to take Bhakta Prahlad? Is he still there? He's not there. I will ask him if he wants to take Bhakta Prahlad. Then Bhishma. I will ask Bhishma Prabhu to take it. See if he can come up with something. Ambrish Maharaj, Ranchor Prabhu, you want to do Ambrish Maharaj? And who else is meaning? Cowherd Boys. I'm putting your name, Ranchor Prabhu.
Okay, bro. I'll try. I'll try it, bro.
Put your name in.
Bro, can you give the reference also, bro? Which canto?
We'll work together on it. I will show you. And our Pradyumna Prabhu, today he couldn't attend. I think he was traveling back from Puri.
Yeah, Pradyumna is with us here now in Jaipur, and I guess he'll be very, very busy like me because we have 15 devotees here. I'll ask him though.
But he has gone back to Jaipur, right? Are you back in Jaipur too?
We're in Jaipur. All of us are in Jaipur now.
Okay. So let me see if some and okay. So I will try to send it and on the WhatsApp and individually. So we'll see. So these ones are more.
Maybe Mathurapati Prabhu can do Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati.
I was hoping he could do this Sita Devi. That is a. This GST is going to do. I will also contact him. And Krishna thing, who could do? Let's see. Somagiri Prabhu, would you like to take up this? Past Krishna leaving his material body? This pastime Krishna leaving his body after.
This is from in the Mahabharata or Bhagavatam?
There in the Bhagavatam, and I can show you, and in Srila Prabhupada's teachings, some places, lectures, conversations you will find. And we can work
Okay.
together. Yeah. We'll contact each other and
Okay.
Okay. So let's see. Let's see if this hypothesis is correct. If we go through these pastime, I would take up a pastime of Narad Muni. I feel like he was not poisoned or anything, but his spiritual form, no? Very inspired to read those chapters and really analyze. Even after annihilation of this material world, how he came back up, and that's the same spiritual form, which is like Srila Prabhupada's spiritual form, I feel. And okay, so great, wonderful. I will send this list over on the WhatsApp. And Ezra Prabhu, I don't have your contact details, but Balram Prabhu probably could share with me or mine, and we can be in touch. And okay, great. So next week then we'll meet and let us see if we can understand this better, these pastimes. Hare Krishna. Thank you very, very much for such good participation and good heartfelt, very philosophically sound reactions and analysis, and wonderful disciples of Srila Prabhupada kind of discussion. So thank you very, very much. Hare Krishna.
Vanchakalpatrubhayascha kripa
Conservative
sindhubhayavacha
person,
patitanam
Bhavani,
pavanebhyo Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Oh.